Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You all know I love sharing my secrets of how I went from $17,000 a year to a multimillionaire. My top essential tool for managing my two successful businesses, plus my crazy life, is my paper planner. But not any random planner, specifically my Inner Guide yearly planner. The Inner Guide planner doesn't just organize my schedule, it helps me map out and discover my goals, dreams, self-care, and keeps my millionaire mindset on track. I want you all to get planning right away for 2019. So I arranged to get a special Inner Guide discount exclusive to my ProjectME posse. Go pick out your favorite yearly planner at inner-guide.com. And at checkout, use the code ProjectME 15% off, and you will receive 15% off your entire order. If you are driving or multitasking and can't write this down, the Inner Guide link and code is in my Instagram bio at ProjectME with Tiffany. And remember, as I always say, you are either planning for success or heading to failure. You are listening to the podcast ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, and I want to let you guys know something. I'm going to do something really cool for you guys to show my love and appreciation. For any iTunes written review at random, I'm just going to select someone just because, and I'm going to send you something really, really cool, like maybe some AirPods or some of my favorite books or planners, just to do something fun and show how much I appreciate all the reviews and all of you guys who subscribe and listen. So for today's episode, I had been following this boss babe for a little while. One is because I'm obsessed with crystals, and that's her current company. But then as I dove deeper, I realized, she had a really interesting success path to get to this level of entrepreneurship. And I wanted to bring her on so you guys could have a real life example of someone who has used something that she's passionate about over and over again and turned it into a business so you guys can see and be inspired and know that, it's possible. So I have on the founder and CEO of the Crystal Boutique. This is Amanda Forth. Hey, Amanda.
Hi.
So she's coming to us live from Bali, where she lives now.
Casual.
Very casual. So what part of Bali are you in again?
So I am in an area called Canggu, and if anyone is familiar with Los Angeles, I refer to it as the Venice Beach of Bali, or of Asia, technically.
Very, very cool. You basically created a life for yourself where you could work, hashtag work from anywhere.
Exactly. And it's the only way I will ever live now.
I amen to that. I couldn't agree more. So for people who aren't familiar with you, I see that you also you have a couple cool things in your background, but take us back to your original training, your media advertising days.
Yeah. So I guess long story short, when I graduated from college, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, like most, or many kids, or maybe they think they do, who knows? But I just knew I wanted to do something in quote media. And by the way, I had no idea what media meant. I had no idea. I just had to, because my father worked in media and I thought it was cool. And I was like, Dad, I need a media job. And I was like, but what does media even mean? I didn't even get it. And so I applied. I was living on the East Coast, and I just knew that New York and LA were kind of the only options in my mind. And so I ended up applying for a bunch of jobs in Los Angeles called assistant media planner. Still had no idea what that meant. And they were like, "Oh, will you be in LA?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I'll be in LA in 2 weeks." I was lying to them. I just wanted to interview. And so I ended up flying out to LA, had 4 interviews set up, got, my first job as an assistant media planner, and realized it was I've never been more unhappy in my life for 6 months working as an assistant media planner. But I saw these sales reps coming in to pitch us ideas and pitch us their magazines and websites and all of that. And I was like, I need to be doing that. Like, that is me. And so I very quickly switched over and started working for Self Magazine for Condé Nast. And I was there for a couple of years, and then digital media was starting to, pick up at the time that I was there. And I ended up working for a couple very, very cool hip media companies, one called Daily Candy, which, rest in peace, was, again, the OG of the email newsletter.
Totally.
Sorry. Can you hear those birds in the background right now?
I thought it was like a giant, Indonesian insect.
It might be. I basically live in the jungle right now, in my villa. And then, so I was in ad sales for a long time. I guess about 10 years of my life, I was in media marketing and ad sales. So that was my corporate career, in LA.
And so when you had that job, did you have, because I came from a sales background too. I sold drugs, you guys, pharmaceutical sales. Yep, I was that person. Thank you. But I had actually cool drugs. But anyway, so when you're in sales, like when I was in sales, I didn't have to I wasn't in an office. I was in the field selling. Did you have a similar setup?
I had the best job in the world. I loved it. I worked from home. For the last 4 years, I was running the West Coast for this company called Urban Daddy. And I worked from home, and I made my own schedule, and I was just, taking clients out to lunches, and I was, going into different offices, meeting people, and I could work from a cafe if I wanted. And that, honestly, I mean, half of my corporate career, I had that flexibility, more than half of it. And I think, honestly, that's kind of what made me realize, I could never go back into an office again. There is a 0% chance I could sit in an office. I think I'd just lose my mind. So yeah, I was just, I was in the field. I was, constantly driving around Los Angeles, sitting in traffic, flying all over the country. I mean, there was a 1-month period where I actually flew to New York from LA once a week. I flew into New York for dinner one night and flew back. It was just kind of all over the place, crazy, but I loved it at the time.
And so what did you do? Did you decide you wanted to transition out of that and work for yourself, or what happened? When I look back at journals that I had written, I studied international business in college. And there was multiple periods during my career where I would kind of go travel, and I would kind of get a feel for leaving the country. And I would always meet entrepreneurs along the way, and I didn't even know what an entrepreneur meant. Also, media, I'm what does that mean? You're an entrepreneur, what do you do? And I was I can do whatever you're doing. What am I doing? Listening to someone else telling me what to do, or being in sales, you're kind of your own boss, but I was still working for a corporation. And so so long story short, I'm totally losing my train of thought right now. Why did you stop this amazing job you were at? What was the reason?
So I was kind of getting this international bug kind of, and I would, I'd be journaling, and I was I know I'm meant to live in an international life. I need my own company someday. And I would just be writing this stuff down all the time. And then I got to a point where I could not perform the most simple task at my job. Responding to an email to a client was climbing Everest to me. There was something not right. And I was what is wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I kept thinking there was something wrong with me. And I was just so miserable and so uninspired and so unmotivated, to the point where I was I just need to quit my job, and I need to travel. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And when I quit my job, I had no idea. I wasn't planning on starting my own business. I always knew it was something I wanted to do, but I don't think that I was confident enough in myself to realize I could do it. And literally anybody can do it. It just comes down to your own confidence and your own mental crap that you have to push through. And so when I quit my job, I was oh yeah, I'm consulting. Told people I was consulting. I was just kind of figuring it out. But within a week, I had 2 clients for consulting.
Oh, cool.
By saying it was and so then I was consulting while I was traveling, and then I'm supposed to be going on this like magical eat, pray, love journey, which it ended up being, but like everyone's like, oh, you're eat, pray, loving. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, no, I'm just traveling. But it's funny. It's like, it's in my blood. When I got to India, I went to the first thing I did was I bought a one-way ticket to India because I liked Indian food. Literally, that's why I picked India.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I love
And
Indian
that was your
food.
first country you chose to go to?
Yeah.
That's like that's like a big choice.
Right. And within 3 weeks, I am walking through the markets, negotiating with people and coming up with business ideas. I'm like, why am I not relaxing? Like, what am I doing? And so I'm like coming up with all these ideas, creating Excel charts, like figuring out price points, understanding how to, negotiate with all these. It's all Indian men actually that I'm negotiating with. And they're like, who are you? Like they were like, I'm afraid of you. So that's kind of like, it kind of, I imagine it as like, you're like sifting flour through a sifter. Like my brain was all this flour with all these ideas and things I wanted to do. And through the process of quitting my job and going to India and thinking of business ideas while I was traveling, my company kind of sifted through that flour sifter of sorts.
So what was able to like fund your travel? Did you have like a savings account built up from all these years? Because you were successful, obviously, at what you did.
So at the point where I quit my job, I had a very healthy savings account. That was something that my best friend is a financial advisor, and I would sit down with her the last, 6 months before I quit my job. And I was like, is this okay? I mean, I was putting 10% of my earnings into my 401k. Like that was instilled to me from my mother, like put everything into your 401k.
We have like the same mom.
Right. And so I don't think I realized, I was like, oh, I'm in a really good financial place. And I was single. I wasn't single when I had quit my job. I had no kids. I wasn't married. Like it was my own money. And I felt very comfortable in quitting my job. But when it's one of those things that you learn, I guess, when you leave America, that America's very expensive, and there are many other places in the world that do not cost the same. It's a lot easier than people think to do what I did.
Interesting.
It's all, you don't need a lot of money to do what I did. Like I am in a better financial place, I think, than a lot of people that have ended up quitting their jobs and traveling. Because I had money, I was thinking, oh, do I buy a house in Los Angeles? Do I do this? And to me, the thought at that time of putting a down payment and just keep working to pay off my mortgage was like a disaster in my brain.
Yeah, so I could see that. And it is expensive, especially to live in like the better climates and places like that in the US.
All the places
I mean, like where I live, it's like like if there's one day of bad weather, I get pissed because I'm like, my mortgage, I pay for good weather, damn it.
You do though, and it's worth it. And I mean, when I lived in LA, I was in Santa Monica, a block from the beach, and I'm an ocean person. I mean, I live in Bali and I paid to live there, but it was my mental health that I was paying for. I needed that.
That
was important. Yeah.
So really when you were like in India, and that's one place I've not been, but I know many people who have. I mean, it's like pure like spastic chaos. And people are like, oh, but you just go there and you go to an ashram, and it's like, there's that too, but I know it's like pure freaking chaos. So in all of that like craziness, you came up with your idea for the Crystal Boutique?
Yeah. So I started getting into crystal. So before I quit my job, I was very depressed, actually. I was just like, I think just being stagnant, not feeling motivated, not feeling a drive towards anything. Like I just felt like I had fully plateaued at my life. I don't know if it was in America, in Los Angeles, and in media, maybe all of those things. So I actually, in my depression, I was going to therapy full on. And I was like, I don't want to take medication. And I was just Googling what are natural remedies to get out of depression. And so I literally walked down the street and I spent $400 on rocks, on crystals. And I was like, oh my God, these are so beautiful. And I started to kind of work with them and set intentions with them. And then in my travels, when I was in India, there were crystals everywhere. And I was just buying them. And I'm traveling with one suitcase. I'm filling it with rocks. And so I'm thinking of I want to start my own business, but the crystal company was for some reason my second idea to me. I was coming up with all these other ideas of businesses I could start because the crystals were just like a personal thing that I loved working with. And then something just hit me while I was coming up with all these other ideas. Why wouldn't I just, start this company just for crystals? I was working with a million different suppliers. I'm like, this is so stressful. And I had realized when I was researching everything about crystals, everything that I was reading was written in almost a different language. And I don't speak that language. I went to my yoga teacher training and we have to study Sanskrit and learn, the basics of things, but the language that everything about crystals, like that you read online, is so new age that it's intimidating. It's scary. And I felt that when I was reading about crystals. I was like, am I part of this club? Like, this makes no sense to me. And it felt very kind of exclusive. And I was scared.
Yeah.
And so I realized, like, I am a spiritual person, but I don't sit around and meditate in a field for 20 hours a day and preach to people, and I wanted to create an environment where people could get the same benefits of crystals that I did without that scary preaching.
Without being like way too far out there.
Exactly.
So you saw like a hole, so to speak,
yes,
within a very, very micro niche.
Exactly.
You saw the whole of having it be something that, I don't want to use the word commercialized, but something that could be more easily digestible to people, where they're not like, oh, that's something like witches and spirits use.
Exactly. And honestly, when I think of crystals, I mean, if you think of giving someone a red rose, who ever said a red rose means love?
Some marketing person.
Exactly. And we're all spending millions of dollars buying red roses for people. And who said that, there's a gold locket that I wear. It's a little heart, and I've had it since I was 5 years old. But who says that heart that you're wearing around your neck should mean something? But at the end of the day, it is special to me. It does make me feel a certain way. It reminds me of my family. It reminds me of my childhood. And that's the exact same thing that I felt with crystals. I felt, when I was having anxiety, that same thing, that how, amethyst is good for stress and anxiety. And I would just hold it. Whether you guys, whoever it is thinks crystals work or not, that's like, there's just something so beautiful in seeing these beautiful pieces of nature and setting your own intention to it. It doesn't matter, who cares what anyone else thinks. It's just like a beautiful way to work on yourself. And that's how I saw it. And I don't think that it needs to be this scary, intimidating language. It could be very simple. It's just like a red roses.
So how did you go, okay, I want to make a business out of this. Like, I see where there's a need. I know I can do it. Like, at least I think I know, right?
Yeah.
I can do it. I'm passionate about it. So how did it go from that to like, did you actually create like a strategy, or what did you do then?
Yes and no. In my head, I'm like, this is going to be so easy. I make a website. I've got a supplier, like easy. Throw up a website.
You found a crystal supplier. Like, how random is that?
Right. Well, I'm like, this is like
that's
my crazy
hysterical
right now, right? Well, the thing is, I was going into this market every day and was talking with this crystal man and learning about them. And he was his family business in India. And so I was like, I really want to bring this to the States and teach people what I'm learning, but in layman's terms. And I just, in that process, like, my plan was create the website, and I had no idea how to build a website, and I hate technology.
Me too.
What?
Me too. I hate technology. I love it, but I don't want to have to do it.
No, I hate it. Like, it's when we can talk about like what I have learned about myself and building this business is hilarious. Like, I can close $1 million deal and it's zero stress to me, but pasting something in Photoshop will make me freeze and cry. And like, I call my business partner, I'm like, I can't breathe. Oh my God. And he's like, calm down. So building the website and all of that stuff, I'm like, easy, build a website, use Squarespace, use, Wix, whatever, Shopify. And so that was kind of the first step for me. Was I build the website. I've got my small supply of inventory. I was reading, business books while I was traveling. Listening to podcasts, all of that kind of stuff. And I didn't realize, I think at that time, how like powerful the podcasts I was listening to are, the books that I was reading. Because when you're in that process of building the business, it's scary. And you go between this like massive fear of like, oh my God, what am I doing? To, oh my God, I'm the biggest genius in the world. Like, this is amazing. I'm going to create my own life.
And like back and forth 10 times in one day.
But there's like no other emotion besides like,
Totally.
I'm going to die and end up alone in a hole, or I'm like going to live the best life in the world. Like, that's it. So, yeah, so it just kind of was this battle of when I was starting the business between between those two feelings, but that high of I'm creating my own life, I'm building a business, this is the coolest thing I've ever experienced in my life, trumps the holy crap, I'm scared out of my mind. And then you just figure it out as you go along.
I mean, how did you go? Okay, I get how you had the supplier, but and now you did the website, which I mean, I hear you. Like, that's painstaking. You have that, but now there's, like Lois in Calabasas, and she wants to buy like these beautiful amethyst pieces from your site. Well, how do you get them there when there's customs and all that hoo-ha?
Yep. So one of the things while I was traveling, I was reading so many different books. I read this book called How Small Businesses Trade Worldwide. I read The $100 Startup. I was reading all of these books, and it's one of those things where we think everything is so much more difficult than it is. And when people are creating businesses, they're planning before they have the problem to solve, if that makes sense. So when I was creating this business, I'm like, if I get a customer, I'm going to figure it the F out. Like, I had no idea. And I was like, you know what? If I have a customer, I will figure it out. And so everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, but it's like, I hope I have that problem. I hope someone wants to buy that from me in Minnesota or wherever it is. And so, I'm creating the packaging. My brother's now wife helped me create a logo. Like, I was, like, I kind of just like reached out to people that I knew that were super talented and had them help me do all of this stuff, because I'm not going to go out and spend $5,000 on a designer when I don't even know if the product even works, if people are going to want to buy it. And so, I spent a couple of months kind of like figuring out the website stuff, getting the logo, getting packaging, spending very little money to get started. And then I knew I wanted to be living abroad. Like, I could not live in America right now, just because I wanted to be, living in Asia and living this lifestyle. And so my older brother, who is a beer brewer, I was like, Michael, I'm going to send you crystals. I will give you 10% of my profits if you ship for me. And he's like, okay.
You're like, you're a distributor.
So, literally, that's how it started. And he, bless his soul, works an overnight shift. And he's like, for the first 6 months is like waking up, he's working from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then like comes home, has to ship things for me. And he's like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And so that's kind of how it started, you don't have to go out there and have everything set up when you start a business. Figure it out when you need to. I think that that is like my biggest piece of advice for anyone starting a business. And then along the way, one of my best friends came to visit me in Bali, and he's like, what is this crystal thing that you're doing? He's like, I don't know what it is, but like, I see it. Like, I love this. And then in his trip, he starts taking pictures with me, and we're just like vibing and talking about this and just like so on the same page of like life and what we want in life and how we want to like make people feel all this good juju that we're feeling. And he became my business partner. And then all of a sudden, my brother's in Connecticut, and we shipped everything to Los Angeles. And now my business partner, helped get the distribution going and operations and took everything to the next level.
Wow. That's really cool. So how the marketing part of it, how did you get it out there? Like, what were your main channels for saying, hey, like, we exist? Like, you have to have it. It's not a lot of people, even the clients I work with, they think if you build it, they will come. And it's like, it doesn't work like that anymore. No. You have to have like giant flashing arrows on it, like 24/7, and then some will come.
Exactly. And that is my background. I have a marketing brain. And so that part is easy to me. And so I know Instagram really well. So my dog, rest in peace, she was like my little angel, she, about when it was maybe 4 years ago, I was like, I'm going to make her famous. And so I made my dog Instagram famous and
Oh
grew
my
her
God.
account to about 100,000 followers. And in that process, what I was doing for fun, because I was like, I know I can do it, I'm just going to do it. That was like the boot camp of social media for me. I mean, everything I learned in that process has been massive for me in building my business. And so I was like, well, Instagram is going to be my biggest, marketing stream, because I mean, there's you can do a million things. You can do Pinterest, you could do Facebook, you could do
Right.
Instagram. If you waste your time trying to do all of them, you're going to not do it well. So I
I
was like, I'm
agree.
just I mean, it's and so many people think when they start a business that they need to be on every channel. There's just no time. It's just going to dilute everything that you're doing. Pick one or two and go with it. And I was a one woman team. And so I just stuck with Instagram, and I started working on that. I found someone in Bali to help me take some pictures, and went from there.
So are most of your sales, like to this very day, are most
Instagram,
of them Instagram, like 90% or?
97%.
Wow.
7%. And so as of actually, so we've been around for about a year and a half now, but really, like, I mean, the growth is insane of the business. We just hired an amazing sales rep actually to start doing our retail sales. So we're at our first trade show next week, the Atlantic Gift Show. And so that's going to kind of be a
That's
game
like,
changer.
that's the next step. So you
Exactly.
have
So
like
we're
direct to consumer. You have like the DTC is, you have that through Instagram dialed down and to scale up.
exactly.
Now you're going to
Exactly.
retail, like she'll go to places like Nordstrom's or
Exactly.
I see.
So I kind of, when I first started, was like, oh, I can do everything. I can run the Instagram, I can run the business, I can sell to people. And so, you know what, when I go to California, I was in Los Angeles, and I just popped into a few stores and they started carrying my product. But I don't have the manpower to do all of that.
Right.
Obviously.
It's not possible because
It's
it's
impossible.
numbers, right? I mean, it's rule of numbers. You can, I mean, obviously also talent and being able to sell and present and all of that. But
Exactly.
you have all of that. If someone's not doing well, I always say then you don't have enough numbers.
Exactly. And so now, the last year has been, who is your customer? Do people want to buy your product? What products do they want to buy? Testing products. And then it comes down, the next phase is obviously scaling. And so for us, the next scaling, will be, updating our website. We have an amazing developer that's going to come and optimize for conversions on all of these things that I don't speak that language. And if you want to have a successful website, you can't just build a website and then suddenly have an amazing website. I mean, there is somebody who is trained to understand the colors of buttons on your website of what's going to make someone click through to something. And I felt like I have to learn all of that stuff. And I'm really glad I spent so much time reading about that, playing around with it, and going through the frustrations of realizing I can't do that, but I can speak the language finally now.
You know,
so
enough where someone can't probably scam you,
Exactly. And 2 years ago, I would have gotten ripped off. I'd be like, sure, giving someone $5,000, it's very easy to be scammed in those kinds of things. And so I think that if for anyone trying to start a business, be versed in that stuff and go through the frustrations of trying to figure things out. I tried to build a website. I learned so much about that stuff. I tried to understand conversions. I mean, understanding the plugins that people add to see what optimizes a website, and just, I understand the language now. And because of that, I can have a conversation with my developer or with my whoever, graphic designer, that's going to bring my company to the next level that much quicker, because I went through all of that craziness of like learning another language.
Now, do you think that your company would have grown faster if you had invested in that developer from the beginning?
No, because I had no idea what products people would have bought. So I could have spent $5,000 on a website and then had a product that nobody wanted to buy.
Excellent point.
It would have just been like, okay, now what do? I'm at $5,000 in debt. Like, you really can if you want to build a basic website with kinks, like who cares if your website has problems with it? You're probably getting 10 people a day if you're lucky to go to your website when you're launching your company. And you should use those 10 people a day to see what's wrong with your website. And then suddenly as your Instagram grows, maybe you're getting 20 people a day, maybe you're getting 1,000 people a day. And in that process, you can start to figure out what's working on your website. What are people buying? We all have the best. Everyone thinks they have the best idea in the world, and you might not. Your customer is going to tell you if you have the best idea.
I always like use the analogy of a house. Like I could tell you, a realtor could tell me, a top, real estate broker could tell me, oh yeah, you can sell your house right now, Tiffany, for 1.5 million. And you could look at comps, but none of it matters unless it's worth what someone's going to pay for it. Today,
exactly.
Period.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, honestly, like if you're going to start a business, read as many books of people that have gone through the process. That's kind of like where I really learned that whole thing. Like, don't waste your money up front. Like, it's like, go bare bones and then start to fix things as you can. Because
how long did it take before you started actually making a profit? Not just like revenue, but some profit.
And, like within 2 months.
Really?
And it was so fat because I spent so little on starting it up.
But in 2 months, you probably had 500 Instagram followers?
I actually was thinking about this morning. I'm going to run a promotion. I think it was like a Cyber Monday thing. And I was like, I just made all my money back. And I had barely any followers.
Like you did Facebook, Instagram
ad?
On
Instagram. Yeah. I didn't, it wasn't even an ad. I just posted it to my followers.
What?
And I got so many, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like calling my brother. I'm like, oh my God, we have orders. Like, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I mean, so it was very quick. But then for the next, 6 months, everything that I made, I reinvest back in the company.
Right.
So, so I made my money back. I'm like, okay, this is working, because I had bought so like my product offering was tiny, but I made sure I had really nice photography. I had my website very clean and simple. And then the growing pains kind of started. I'm like, oh, I'm going to add more products. I'm going to do this. And so since then, it's kind of just been the back and forth of scaling, reinvesting everything that you make, and, going back and forth.
So do you utilize now any paid ads in order to drive sales?
I tested $500 in Facebook ads and got one sale.
Really?
Yeah. So I think, but the thing is with Facebook is it is a beast to understand. And I will 100% go the Facebook, ad route in the future. But right now, I've never paid an influencer. Besides that little test of Facebook. Facebook's amazing once you figure out your algorithm, your click, your target. But it's trial and error. And so you need to do split testing. You need to test different copy. You need to test different images. You need to test different audiences. I mean, I could test spirituality, or I could test accountants, and accountants might work. You have, and there's
we
so
think
much.
We know, but again, it doesn't matter. Your sales will tell you. Your audience tells you.
Exactly. And you got to spend money to figure that out on Facebook.
It costs money. Yeah. I mean, I'm a Facebook ads expert. I've done them since the beginning. I've spent millions of dollars of other people's money learning it, but it's all, which is good, because I also lost other people's money, right? I've lost my own now too, but it is all trial and error. And I tell clients, I try to tell people all the time, I'm talking huge clients, Pepsi, they have TV ad campaigns. They had one this year that was a huge fail. They have Facebook ad campaigns, huge fail. And that's how you learn, okay, that doesn't work. Now this works. Exactly. But once you find the thing that works and you throw cash at it, it's major.
Triple down.
Right. It's major. Exactly. But to get there, it's kind of a hard nut to swallow for especially a small business owner, because you're like, okay, there goes $500, there goes $1,500.
And it adds up.
It does. It adds up fast, and it's it looks like it's not working. Well, you just haven't hit the sweet spot yet.
Exactly. And with Facebook, it's oh, this is a high performing ad. Do you want to put $20 to it? And if you keep doing these $20 here and there, but you're not actually paying attention, is this actually converting? If you're trying to make money off of a profit, engagement's great, But at the end of the day, you want conversions.
Right.
You know, they're like, oh, this got this percent, whatever. But like, but are people buying your product? You know what I mean?
They'll say
So,
like all those boosts, which I always tell people, sorry, Facebook, but I tell people like not to do that. It's unless you're just going for like brand recognition, which most people aren't. Cause last time I checked, like you don't own Nike. So it's like, so it's like you do those boosts and then they send you the stats and you feel good. Like, oh, 200 people saw my post. It's like, but they didn't give you an email address. They didn't buy anything.
Did they follow you?
They didn't even follow you.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think so many people starting businesses that think, okay, I have a website and then I do Facebook ads and then I'm going to be a millionaire and it's done and it's easy. Like, no, that's not how it happens. Like we are in a day and age where we are so lucky that we have things like Instagram and podcasts and all of these amazing quote free tools that if you can take the time to figure out and your authentic voice to your customer, and find the ways, because there are ways to grow your audience for free. They just take time. You got to do that because otherwise you're going to you're going to be $5,000 in debt. And,
like time. And would you say also consistency?
Consistency, yes, for sure. And I mean, just like having content, there's like nothing more important. And content is free if it's, it's your time, but it's cheaper than wasting $5,000 on Facebook ads that don't convert when you have no idea how to figure them out.
Right. If you're just guessing, that's a, you might as well go to Vegas. If you're just kind of guessing.
You have better odds in Vegas, actually.
So, I mean, anyone's going, and I'll have all this in show notes too, but if you go over to Amanda's page, it's the Crystal Boutique, right? I just had it up and then it disappeared.
Yep, the Crystal Boutique.
And it's not like you have like even 50,000 followers. You have like 12,000. And so help my audience, right?
Yeah.
Understand and maybe give them some validation, like this whole myth that you have to have tens of thousands of followers to make any cash using Instagram.
You don't at all. If you really think about the people that you're following, like who are you most engaged with that you follow on Instagram? People that have 10 million followers, you probably scroll right through their posts actually for some reason. But I actually like highly believe in the micro influencer because the smaller you're following, and not like one follower, but like there's just something in that stage, I think, of growth where you're so dialed into your audience and like it's about being authentic. I mean, everything that I'm posting on there, it's not just ads. I'm not just throwing money at things because I have so many followers and I can afford to.
Right.
I am taking the time every single day. Like I spend a lot of time on Instagram to the point where I need to like take a break from it.
I'm the same way to where it's a lot, but that's where your customers live.
Exactly. And I communicate with them. And if people DM me, I reply to them and I make like everything that I'm putting on there is me. And that was the scariest transition for me ever to go from like I remember starting my brand, and what also helped grow it was being authentic. I was like, okay, these are pretty pictures. This is what people want to see. And it was like, great. But I'm like, wait, but like, I don't talk that way. Like, what am I doing? And so I just started to like, I know it sounds crazy, like a crystal person that swears, but I do, and I started to talk to people in the way that I would talk to them in person, and people resonated with it. And that, helped people engage more with me and my product. And it just was, it's easier when you're completely authentic.
I mean, I'm looking at her Instagram right now while we're chatting. And I mean, I've already followed her, and I was trying to think back because I hand select all of my guests like very intentionally. And I was trying to think like how I even found her. I didn't search because I was like trying to think because I would be, like a customer. So I was trying to think on like that process. And it's like, I love crystals, but I don't think I even like searched for crystals. So are you doing some sort of like really unique, like special sauce, like hack that gets people to find you? Or, I mean, you got to give us some tips here. What's going on?
So when I post a picture, I post my picture with my caption, And then in the second comment, I do all of my hashtags, and I do the hashtags based on the image that I posted. So if it's crystals, I'll do things crystal healing, crystals, all of that, the type of crystal that I'm posting. But I definitely try to mix in lifestyle content as well. So things that are really happening in my life, like I live in this beautiful place, I might as well share it with everybody. And I tap into travel and female startups and all of that as well. So I don't just, in terms of hashtagging and what I'm tagging, I don't just, tap into the crystal only world on Instagram. And then the people that I partner with when I do giveaways and things like that are brands that I really, really love and believe in. So there are brands, I love vegan skincare, and I love, the whole eco-friendly, everything like that is my jam. And so a lot of the brands that we do partnerships with or giveaways with are, yoga related or vegan skincare, and things like that.
And so do you reach out, like, do you DM these brands that you think would be a good fit? And you're like, I'd love to collab, and, I would give you, that to be honest, stuff.
My biggest piece of advice to grow on Instagram is do a giveaway. So we just did a giveaway. We have one live right now. And in the last 24 hours, I've gotten 1,000 new followers.
And you have a giveaway that's not through ad promotion, an organic giveaway.
I have spent $0 on this giveaway. I've partnered with a bunch of awesome brands. And all we do is we all put one product into this giveaway. We donate it to the giveaway. And then everybody posts about the giveaway on their own Instagram with like a beautiful flat lay picture. And then the rules are to follow every single account in order to be entered to win the giveaway.
Yeah, I'm looking at the post right now. So you guys, even if you're listening to this like after the fact, you might have to scroll down to find it unless you guys remove the giveaway after it. But yeah, it's not like it's anything like, it's not like they're giving away like, Bose headphones or something. I mean, these things aren't like that expensive that you're giving away.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But it's exciting for the followers. It's a chance to win a bunch of awesome things. And literally, like, why wouldn't you just comment your name to get a bunch of free stuff?
And the key here is that you've gone out on your own, grassroots style. I call it like digital door knocking. Like that's what DMs are to me. So you've like literally gone to brands that that are aligned with yours and said, I want to collaborate and let's do a giveaway. Yes. And this is who we are. Check out our stuff. And if a brand has any sense at all, they would be instantly engaged, right?
Exactly. And one of the things I realized is when I first started, I started asking people when I had 1,000 followers.
And they still were down for it?
A lot said no. One brand who I adore, the girl that I messaged, they had 200,000 followers. And the girl I messaged was like, I love crystals. This is so cool. I love what you're doing. So it's sales. Trying to find a giveaway is sales. And so it was one of those things where sales is emotional, and you got to take the emotion out of it. And if someone says no, okay, guess what? There's about 4 million other brands that could say yes. And you're going to get a lot of no's, and you just have to be like, okay, no problem. It's fine. And to the next one.
And so would you be like the orchestrator of, like, let's say you have 6 different companies that are brands that are, donating, so to speak, one item to the giveaway. Do you end up being like the master collaborator of getting those 6 brands all together?
When you're first starting out, yes. And that is what you're kind of contributing. That's why it's worth it for these brands, because brands love to be part of giveaways because it's great for engagement.
And they don't have to do shit.
Yeah, they don't have to do anything. And so if you're the one, that's your added value. You're adding that. That's why it's worth it to work with a smaller company, because you're setting it up. They don't have to do anything but send in their product and post a picture. The legwork is setting up the giveaway. And so now I have brands reaching out to me like, oh, do you want to join our giveaway? I would love to. If the brand aligns with what we're, our mission and everything that we're all about, sure. And you got to kind of like put your time in to set up these giveaways and do things like that. And I was again thinking about that this morning. I remember my first giveaway was maybe like 9 months ago, and how stressed I was setting it up. And I was like, oh my God, like this is so scary. And there was 2 brands in it, but it was massive for me. And now I'm like, oh, that's part of my social media growth formula. Now I know exactly how to do that. And that's like kind of like in my arsenal. And I know how to do
I
it.
mean, you have you go out, you find the people that agree. Maybe you only have, because your product is already of high value. I mean, crystals are expensive. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
If you don't like a crystal, even if you're not into the energy of a crystal, if you don't like looking at it, then you're annoying and I don't like you anyway. Like, come on. I mean, that's ridiculous. So it's like you already have you have another value add that your item is, it's not like a lotion. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's something unique. So let's say I'm just like walking like the audience through this. So she has the crystal. So let's say, there's a cool like, jewelry line that you like that uses natural stones and it makes sense. Those two products of their own, because they're higher value, than just like, that's enough alone to do a giveaway. You get a cool necklace and you get a crystal, and then you set the parameters on what they have to do for the giveaway and how many people and whatever.
And you write the caption and you do everything so that nobody has to do anything but copy and paste.
Yeah. And if you want ideas and you're concerned about the lingo, you can go search other companies that you can tell that know what they're doing. It's not like someone with like 50 followers and see what their lingo is. Because there is certain lingo that you should use to protect yourself too.
Yes. And you'll see that almost every brand you follow does giveaways.
Yeah. Well, what's funny that I love how the universe works. It's funny we're talking about this because I have my first giveaway starting Monday, and it's for my podcast. It's like, because I'm a big believer, like my whole millionaire mindset thing I teach is like, you have to give back in order to get. So that's one element of it. And the other business element is I want people to download episodes and to write iTunes reviews. So I'm giving away, this will be past tense, but I'm giving away like the Apple AirPods, like a luxury item, because my brand is a luxury. It's a brand all about wealth and luxury. Yeah. So I'm giving away a luxury item. I didn't have to partner with anyone because what I'm giving away is already, substantial.
Yes, exactly.
But then I also did a podcast that I already recorded on how to do a successful giveaway. And now here we're talking about it again. So you guys are hearing this, like you'll be hearing this, you're listening to the show regularly. Now you're hearing another person, real life example, like that this is a major growth strategy.
Huge. And once you get over the like hurdle of it's a little uncomfortable at first, like sales, like it's like door, what did you call it? Digital door knocking?
Yeah.
I love that. It is exactly like that. And when at first it feels a little bit weird and scary kind of, and then you're like, okay, this is like the norm of Instagram. Everybody's doing it. And you kind of like put in your time, and I'll always set them up. Like I love them. But it's also great when someone else asks you to be a part of one too. Well,
and I think the strategy of partnering, they're also obviously promoting that to their audience. So then you're getting, some of their followers will jump over to you. So there is the strategy of partnering with more companies isn't just about getting more stuff. It's because now it's their audience, right?
Exactly. You're tapping into another audience, but you're also, it's kind of elevates your brand. It's trust. If nobody knows your brand and these other brands are posting with you, you're creating brand trust as well.
Right. They have like credit. They might have a little more like street cred, even if it shouldn't matter how many followers, but it's just how it is. Like, even if they're not a known brand and they have 100,000 followers, it's like, it does create that. Plus you're not asking your audience for something. You're fucking giving them something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's going to build trust and rapport right there.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely enter these giveaways like all the time. My friends and I are always tagging each other in them. It's fun.
And what do you see? Like, cause I know quite a few people who have a lot of giveaway fails where they get these like, I guess there's these like groups on Reddit and stuff that like these big groups that just go after and like target giveaways, and they get a bunch of followers that really then unfollow after the giveaway. So do you have any tips like to keep it clean?
Yeah, I mean, don't do a giveaway just to do a giveaway. If the brand, if you're selling toothpaste and you're partnering with a tire company, like there is no connection there. It's a very random example, but like you need to partner with brands that you also believe in and that you love, and like if like you created your brand, so you already have a sense of the kind of person that's going to buy your product, of sorts. The brands that you love, you are probably brands that your customer are going to love. You probably have something in common, so you want to make sure that you're choosing to partner with brands that you have some affinity for, and you love and you trust, and it makes sense for your reader. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Do you, I noticed because you have like a product-based business, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and a lot of entrepreneurs, even though they're service-based like me, end up adding a product component. Like, they have their like little sayings, they make mugs and tank tops and shit like that. But for a product-based business, is it an absolute must to be able to shop right from Instagram?
We just introduced that recently. It makes a huge difference. I mean, I've even noticed, like, from the consumer standpoint, like I am much like when you're looking through Instagram, if you can just click it and buy through. Actually, the shirt that I'm wearing right now is actually bought from Instagram.
And you're like, I don't even know why I bought it, but
right, it
was a guilty buy.
And it's the only product I've ever bought from Instagram, because I'm in Bali now and shipping, obviously, but I was home and one of my best friends from high school was like, we need this shirt. And she tagged me in it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I bought it immediately. And so it was kind of, my friend tagged me. So my friend, it was almost like the trust that she approved, whatever it was. Like I felt like, oh, this is cool. This is like so us. And then I immediately clicked through and bought it.
That's why I always say sharing equals sales when people share and tag, because it's like there's an automatic like trust, like, oh, Aunt Susie knows I would love this.
Exactly. It's so true. And like my little sister and I tag each other and stuff constantly, like, we need this. I think Instagram shopping in the next year is going to be huge.
I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. Is there a fee involved to have that feature?
No.
It's just work on your end, right?
It's very annoying to set up. It was like one of the most annoying things I've ever done.
Yeah, I could imagine. And the more SKUs you have, meaning the more products you have, I would imagine then the more work, right?
But then suddenly when for me, because I don't like technology, it's supposed to be easy. For some reason, nothing was syncing between my Shopify and my Instagram, my Facebook. Like, it was a disaster where I had tech people coming in like, I can't figure out what's wrong with it. The second we fixed that one little problem, it was like magic. And once it's set up on your Instagram, it is a beautiful, seamless, easy to use tool.
Have you seen an increase in sales after setting it up?
Yeah, I mean, we've only been using it for 2 weeks now, and we've seen sales come through from it. On the first day, we got a sale within 2 hours from it.
I mean, you don't have to give specifics, but I do want to offer like definitely some validation and inspiration and hope for people who like don't have a ton of followers. Like, when you made like, I would say, like, did you have a month early on that you made like a pretty decent amount with not that big of a following that you could use as an example?
Honestly, I mean, this is like, I can just tell you, like, when I had under 1,000 followers, we made, like, it was a big deal because like making $1,500 in a day, like, that was crazy.
That's amazing.
It was insane. So I did my Cyber Monday sale. I think I had 1,200 followers. I screenshotted everything because I was like, what is happening? But then I didn't make a sale for another month. Like, it was just like a very big deal. And so that was like my validation of like, okay, this is real. Like, I have to, it was amazing that happened.
Now,
like,
would you say like, is there like a consistency now where you could say like, on average, our monthly sales are between this and this?
I can't tell you the exact, but they are on average the same. And something I've noticed in the last month is that most of our sales come at the beginning of the month. And I'm like, does that mean people are getting paid and that they're buying crystals? This is what I've learned this week. I'm like, all of our sales most of them come in the first week of the month.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, and that like, stuff that you guys, this is the trial and error, like she talks about, that I'm talking about, is don't make assumptions or don't base your business on maybe another business that's even similar to hers.
What they're doing.
It might be on the end of every month. You have to see what your own customer base and pattern is. And that takes time and consistency and like looking at all the stuff.
Exactly. I mean, that's like a year's worth of data. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, I keep noticing that because towards the end of the month, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this much in sales this month. I'm like, no one bought for the last 3, it's a little bit sporadic. And it obviously, like, I've noticed, like, there are certain influencers that we worked with. Like, one influencer posted and we did so many sales that day because they did an amazing post for us, and it was organic. And,
like there was an influencer who did you digital door knock them, or did they just like your stuff?
We got connected through a friend and we sent them some product and they loved it.
Like when people send me like random free shit, and if I really like it, I'll do a video and stuff on it.
Exactly. And they out of nowhere did the most beautiful post for us. And we just, like, so many sales and followers came through. And so I think for me, I'll never pay for an influencer personally, because the people that I want to work with, I want them to love my brand. Would you proactively go after them and say, like, if their address isn't obviously listed, would you say, I'd really love to send you some of our crystals? Exactly. If I am a fan of them, or if I'm following, I will DM them and say, I'd love to send you some crystals all the time. I'm happy, we're happy to send product. And if somebody we also don't require posts. If somebody doesn't post and they don't like our product, like, we want everything to be as authentic and genuine as possible.
Is it a hard decision for you? Because sending free product these are natural, real stones. Yes. They're not, acrylic or something like that. They actually are expensive to begin with.
Yep. At the beginning, I was just like, anyone that wants crystals, I'll send them to them. Now it's kind of it's personal, and it's not. I just, whoever I'm sending to, I just want to make sure that they have, like, a very authentic, happy, positive vibe to what they're doing. And honest, maybe that's, like, not the normal strategy. When my dog was an influencer, I used to do partnerships, and we did paid partnerships, and we worked with movie studios, and we worked with amazing brands, and we did paid partnerships. And there were people that would reach out to us and say, that's also how I learned a lot about influencer marketing, because of that process.
Well, because you got to a number in following in, like, a very popular, like, niche where you had people coming to you.
Exactly. And there were brands that I did paid posts for, and there were brands that would send me things, like the food brand that we worked with. I honestly believe the food brand changed my dog's life. So my dog was a rescue. I rescued her when she was 8 years old. She had one tooth, which is tattooed on my finger right there.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
So she was this, like, little 6-pound, she was like nugget, tied up to a fence eating rocks. I did not want a dog at the time. I was walking to the farmer's market in Santa Monica, and I saw her, and I started crying when I held this dog. I didn't realize that she was missing teeth. I didn't realize that she was, like, missing fur. Everyone's like, what is that rat that you're adopting? And I'm like, she's perfect. And this dog, like, I had bought this dog food. And then suddenly, like, she transforms into this, like, magical white fluffy dog, and everyone's suddenly obsessed with her and thinks she's the most beautiful dog in the world. And so I think I reached out to them being like, I'm obsessed with your brand. And they would send us free dog food every month. But because I loved the brand so much, I was constantly posting for them. Right. I would do anything for them because of how much I loved this brand.
Yeah.
And so there were paid brands that I still loved, the movies, all of that kind of stuff. But there was something about having that genuine connection with the brand that, I hope that my post I did for them worked really well, because it was all from my heart. Yeah. And that's the kind of influencer relationship that I hope to have with my influencers. I want them to truly, like, love the product that we have.
Because it comes across in a post. Like, I got sent, like, something very weird where I was like, I don't even want to know. I got sent, like, a weird deer, like a figurine of a deer, and it came in a beautiful box, and it just had a URL. Now, I've been in marketing a long time, so it was like, I kind of know what they're doing. Like, you send something very random, and then you just have a URL, and you're so curious that now you go to the website. Well, it's so weird and it's so off brand for me that I'm not going to the website. It's going to be like deer porn. Like, what is happening? So, it's like that they just wasted their money, because that makes no sense for someone like me. But you can tell, like, let's just say I posted about it because I, like, felt I had a post for every time someone sent me something. It would come across that it's like,
and it would dilute your authentic voice.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is so important when building a business is I'm like, you know what? Like, this is my life and my company. Everything I do needs to be completely authentic. Like, I love my brand. I love every crystal kit we put together is just like magic to me. And I want the people that promote or support our brand to feel the same way. Otherwise, it's bullshit to me.
I agree, and you can smell it too. I do feel like
Yeah.
that's part of like why this is my second company. I still have my parent company, but my company's not even a year old, and this is why I feel like the growth has happened so fast is because I am who this is me, and this is me when you hire me to speak. This is me in my DMs. This is this is who I am. Like,
I know I'm being myself, and I'm like, you know, I might be saying, I have no clue what I'm even saying right now.
And no one ever has a clue. When I interview them and we're done, they're like, I have no idea what I said. And I go, don't worry, it was good. Like,
I mean, I hope that that's what you say when we're done with this.
No, it's good. Otherwise, I would have already ended it. That's how you can always tell, especially like with someone who's a journalist. If they're like, this person's like the worst guest, it's like that shit's cut real short, real fast.
I was thinking that actually. I'm like,
that's why we keep going, because I'm like obsessing over our conversation.
Oh my God, I love this. Okay, good. That makes me happy.
So I want to go back to like, do you still have your dog's Instagram page?
Yes.
So
it's Tusk the Dog, Tusk the Dog.
So when you created that and you got all these followers, were you trying to monetize it, or did people just come to you organically?
I'm trying to think. When I started, I was like, it was really just like my brain, like when I want to do something, like I genuinely know I can do it, and I'm just going to do it. I was like, I'm going to make her famous. Why are all these dogs famous? Sure, I'm going to do this. How fun. And then there was a plan, like, okay, I'm going to write books about her. And I had all these ideas, but for some reason, for me, like, I loved posting about her, but like it started, I know this sounds so weird, but like, I didn't want to like feel like I was capitalizing on my dog. Like, I loved making money and it was fun, and I would definitely reach out to brands. Like, I was in ad sales and I knew exactly what to do, but it wasn't all I was doing, because she was the best dog. Like, she was so cute, and I wanted to like I didn't want to feel like that was my only relationship with my dog, to the point where I kind of stopped posting because it made me genuinely feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like, she's so cute, and I feel really lucky that like her followers, you know how like people have like haters? Yeah. I never had one hater. Like, maybe one person was like, she's weird looking.
And if someone is a dog hater, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
exactly.
I mean, what?
Oh, and it became a platform for me where I realized like that was also where I learned like, whoa, Instagram and social media is a voice. And for me, it became kind of a personal thing, because Tusk was, when I adopted her, was like, people thought she was gross and then suddenly thought she was beautiful. And it became a voice to showcase like, you can be beautiful with imperfections. Like, she had one giant tooth that looked like an elephant tusk. And like, if you look at her, like her tongue hangs out. Like, she was like the most absurdly beautiful, funny looking dog ever. And so it became a platform for positivity and beauty with imperfections. And like, for me, that's why I ran the account. It was so fun to make people smile and laugh. And like, she was the like most hilarious like little nugget ever.
Oh my God, you guys have to, I'm looking right now, like, I'm a dog rescuer too. I have like a giant English bulldog, Molly, but you guys have to go to Tusk the Dog. I'm putting this in the show notes. Tusk the Dog. You guys are gonna die. Like, she looks like a real life like stuffed animal, like a cartoon stuffed animal.
Yes.
That's like so crazy. I can see why brands would like come to you, but like when you went out to brands, and since that's your background, did you do that via DM, or did you actually like call the corporate office? And
I did both. I did DMs, and I also would search, like, I would be like, okay, like, she has this one famous picture that many of you might have actually even seen on it's been everywhere. It's like a very viral photo. It's actually her profile picture on Instagram. And so like, for me, I would just start thinking like, okay, what brands could I work with? And I was like, she's in the bathtub, and I would think like shampoo, or I would think like whatever. And so I'd be like, I'm going to reach out to this brand XYZ and pitch them something about like a picture of her in a bath with shampoo. And so I would look on LinkedIn and I would find who's the social media manager, who's the XYZ person. And I would like full on do deep digging to find contacts. But it was a mixture of that and a mixture of like, I was in ad sales. So I had a lot of friends who were media buyers and I knew kind of like who to talk to. So it was a mixture of like going out and searching or like just like figuring out like, okay, look on LinkedIn. Okay, who knows somebody at this brand or who used to work here, and just like talking to people. Like, oh, would you mind introducing me to this person?
And what were you offering them in exchange? Like you were offering them like a customized photo or something
exactly.
like that.
It was videos, it was photos. Exactly. And for brands, like even for me now, like if an influencer has an awesome piece of content and they create something, I mean, that's what you get out of these influencer posts is amazing content, is referrals, is, you know, followers. And so it's an exchange.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and I can already like hear when people are like, listen, like I'm such a weirdo. I can like picture people listening and they're like, yes, but she has 10 years of media experience and advertising and she knows what to do. And it's like, but she just told you how you can do it. Like, yes, she does have a leg up because she has some contacts and there's confidence built there.
And you guys have a leg up in other things. Maybe you're a tech person, maybe you're whatever. Like I have a leg up because I was in sales and I understand marketing, and that's how my brain works. The number of days that I spent, like I swear to God, there was a week that I literally just needed to paste something in Photoshop, and I stared at my computer for a week with anxiety until I was like, oh wait, I can hire someone to do this. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of Fiverr.com.
Oh yes, honey. They're
like
I have to.
I went on to Fiverr and I spent $12 with the service fee to have somebody do something in 5 minutes that took me a week of stress. So like we all have our strengths. You got to figure out what yours are and go balls to the wall with it. And then what you don't know, have someone else help you with, you know, like work with your friends, give somebody your product for free or exchange things. Like you don't have to spend a lot of money to get things done.
And you can use people like that are, you know, and that are not based in expensive countries like the UK or the US, because their cost of living so much lower and they need the work and they're actually more educated than most people in America.
Honestly, like there are so many resources, Upwork.com, Fiverr.com, all of these other things that anything that you can't get done, hire someone for cheap to do it and stop wasting your time. I still struggle. Like there's something right now that like I just text my business partner this morning. I'm like, I just found another roadblock in my brain. And that's something that like through the process of building your business, you're going to realize you cannot do everything. Like you're going to have to snip your ego, because I fully thought I was like, oh my God, I'm such a good business person because I was good at sales. Like I can figure out this. No, you can't. You can kind of learn the basis. And if you want to, you're going to be working like an insane person to get everything done. Like you have to just realize we're all not good at everything.
No, and you'll burn out. It's just, it's not possible. Like it's so funny because like, I hate tech. Therefore, literally my tagline on Instagram is I teach non-tech savvy entrepreneurs how to generate leads and sales, because I'm not tech savvy and I've done it. Therefore, I can teach it because I'm not I know enough to not get scammed, but I also have been scammed before. That's why I know I need to know enough.
Exactly. And you know what? We're all going to be scammed in some way, I think. And like, you know, like even we're going to hire people that are not great. We're going to go, you know, spend money on Facebook ads that aren't going to perform, but that's like a part of the process. It's like dating. Like you're going to date a bunch of crappy people to get to someone awesome.
Like my dating number is like 542.
Right. Yes. And like in that process, it's the exact same thing as dating. Like in that process, I have learned so much about myself to be able to realize like, okay, I'm not great at everything. Like in order to build the company I want, I need help from all these other awesome people. And it's like, you got to date the frogs to get there.
There you go, guys. There couldn't really be a better analogy than that. Well, Amanda, this was awesome. Like, this was so helpful, like especially for anyone who's a newbie or a side hustle, considering going full time. Like she just took you like through the full like process of how it works. And if your shit isn't working now, that's okay. It doesn't always work right away. Usually it doesn't.
It's not gonna. You're in the 0.0001% if it works right away.
Yeah, it's not. And I get that you guys see on social media, they're like, I'm living a laptop lifestyle and I made $1 million my first year. Like that might, I'm not saying they're liars. That just might be that 0.001%.
Exactly. And like be inspired by it, but know that they also, by the way, probably did a crap ton of work to get to that point. Like they could have had 8 companies that failed before they made $1 million in their first year.
Right. Yeah. We don't know you never know like the whole story. So
exactly. That was a great piece of advice someone actually gave me, is like, you should look to your competition, but you also have to know they might not have any idea what they're doing.
Most days I actually don't know what I'm doing. And then,
me too.
And then some
day.
days I'm like, I'm amazing.
Exactly. Like right now, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't have a PR person telling me what to say. Like I could be making a massive
No, you're
fool
not.
of myself
You're
now.
not. You're totally not. No, this was awesome. And you guys, I'm going to have all the links in the show notes, but basically go to the Crystal Boutique on Instagram and you can shop everything right there. She has some really cool, like, things that are all packaged really nicely, like for the holidays too, since you guys are listening to this in November. So it's like perfect timing for you guys to go check out and give like a unique gift. Like fuck the socks and the candles.
Yes.
Like give something that's like, even if someone doesn't have to be like spiritual or whatever to be into crystals, like they're beautiful.
They're
like
just beautiful.
I was sent a crystal from a dear friend that I'm working on something with. She sent me, because purple's my brand color, she sent me an amethyst. And it's not like I sat there and meditated with it. It's on my beautiful desk behind me and I smile when I see it. Like,
oh, I love that.
I mean, but come on. Like, then if it's like a candle, everyone does candles. Like, be unique, people. Get a crystal.
And it's going to be around forever. That's what I think is so cool. We're like, it's nature's permanent flowers. Like you give someone flowers, but they're there for a few days.
I would totally rather be given a crystal than flowers.
Right. And it has such a special intention. You can say your own intention to it. Someone could be like, I know you're going through XYZ. Here's this. I know you're looking for the, more like pyrite is a great gift. Like you just got a promotion. That means good luck, prosperity, wealth. That's a beautiful gift for somebody that just got, a new job or is starting a company.
That's cool. So, yeah. And then she has on her Instagram, like all the meanings of stuff. So you don't have to like guess it. I mean, you could Google it, but she has it all like in there, like rose quartz and all that stuff that help. I used to like drape myself in that when I was like in the dating single life. I'm like, I wore it in my, like I had one in my purse and I was like,
I love it. I literally carry it in my pocket.
That's great. Well, so good having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.